Hi, this is Together Gutless doing a deck list on a Oloro ageless ascetic deck that I built. It's been a long time coming. I had this deck almost completely built long before anybody else has done their deck lists, but the funny thing was I found that a lot of the Oloro ageless ascetic decks follow the same kind of design and a lot of similar cards. I based this one mostly towards reanimation, and yeah. Anyway, this is the deck. I'm running 5 islands and 7 swamps and 7 plains. And then I'm running the full suite of the dual lands in my colors, including the bounce lands. I'm running Command Tower, Arcane Sanctum, and the colorless lands. Nephalia Drowneyard puts stuff in the graveyard. Beside You keeps my spells from getting countered. I'm not running any counter spells. Tectonic Edge is the poor man's strip mine. Vesuva copies lands. Ancient Tomb I just felt goes with the theme of the deck. I got rid of the other 2-mana producing colorless land. I forget what it's called at the present moment. I'm running Soul Ring. This is a multicolor, this is a multiplayer deck. It's mainly for multiplayer, that's why I'm running that. Chromatic Lantern gives me all my colors. I'm running all 3 of the signets in my colors. Lightning Greaves keeps my guys from getting taken out immediately. A lot of them are very big and have huge targets on their heads. Grindstone lets me mill stuff out of my opponent's decks to fill the graveyard. If they're a monocolor deck, then it's even more effective. Phyrexian Processor, make plenty of, I gain plenty of life, so I can make a really big creature to win the game outright with it. Mimic Vat reanimates stuff, good with Grave Titan, right here. He's a good reanimation target. Shouldered, one of my other reanimation targets, deals with Voltron decks. Good for reanimating other things too. Avacyn protects my stuff, protects my other stuff that I've reanimated. Good aggressive beater. Angel of Serenity removal for the deck. Gets stuff from the graveyard back into my hand. Jin Cataxis is there to deal with control decks. I usually play him, and then I basically try to lock down the control player with it by keeping it out in play as long as possible. Phyrexian Risen Deep lets me steal spells from my opponent's graveyards, use them against them. Darkskull Reaver lets me draw spells and gain life. Sphinx of the Steel Wind, I know a bunch of people who like to run red-green EDH decks, and this guy is just like unstoppable to them. Obstot, he's not a sure thing in this deck yet. I have mixed opinions about this card in the deck, but he lets me slowly drain my opponent's life and gain life. Wall of Reverence, gain massive amounts of life. Karmic Guide, good with Mimic Vat, reanimate stuff. Mind Shrieker, a good early game beater, lets me mill stuff into my opponent's graveyard. I've had him often swing for 8 damage. Viscope, Guild Mage, good for dealing massive damage around the board to my opponents. Archangel Athune, life gain, plus pumps up all my creatures. Herborg Siphon Mage lets me discard stuff from my hand. I gain life from everybody. Daxos of Meletus, good creature for dealing damage. I gain plenty of life off of him. I don't use his other effect very often. Prognosis Sphinx lets me discard stuff from my hand, and his other ability lets me scry. This guy is there as graveyard removal. Any decks that are using quite a lot of recursion, I use him to deal with them, and he also acts as a reanimation spell. Necrotic Sliver basically acts like a Spine of Ishsaw, and I can keep bringing him back every once in a while, depending on what I have in play, to keep blowing up permanents. Consuming Aberration gets really big. I've had him become an 80-80 one game. He puts a lot of stuff into my opponent's graveyard. He's pretty good like that. Archaeomancer lets me grab my reanimation spells from the graveyard, or board wipes, whatever I need. Hidden Lich, expensive reanimator spell, basically. I don't use him very often. Phyrexian Metamorph, just because I need a clone in this deck, and he's the most interesting one. Rise of the Dark Realms, reanimate everything from my opponent's graveyards and win the game, pretty much. Yawgmoth's Will fetches back my spells, mostly. That's about it that I use it for. I don't usually use it to bring back creatures from the grave. Reanimate. Beacon of Unrest. Burial Rites. All reanimate stuff. Mind Grind. Mill stuff out of my opponent's libraries. Each opponent. Traumatize. Mill half their deck. Merciless Eviction. Exile stuff, so if Avacyn ends up on my opponent's side of the board, I can deal with her. Toxic Deluge deals with most things really early in the game. Very good in this deck because I can gain the life back. Supreme Verdict, uncounterable board wipe. Decree of Pain lets me draw stuff and board wipes. Unexpectedly Absent removes problem permanents and tucks them into the deck. Mortify is there to deal with Rest in Peace. I've got plenty of hate against Rest in Peace. Buried Alive, tutor in a way. Fabricate gets my good artifacts and mana fixing. Diabolic Tutor. Mystical Tutor. Intuition acts as a bit of a Buried Alive. Demonic Tutor. Ghostly Prison for those times when you're playing against people who have really fast head starts and get a really big board presence. It keeps you alive from getting run over by all the creature tokens. Propaganda, same thing. Wound Reflection is when I'm not dealing enough damage. I want to deal even more. This doubles every bit of damage that I deal, pretty much. Aura of Silence deals with enchantments. Active Authority, enchantments, and artifacts. Exquisite Blood combos with the commander. I draw a bunch of cards and gain a lot of life from it. Compulsion, discard, draw cards. This lets me overextend my hand so I can discard stuff from my hand. Dance of the Dead, reanimation. Discard stuff from my hand and deal with Voltron Generals. Reanimation, and discard and mass reanimate. And that's his deck. I hope you like it.